Okay, so now we'll take a look at how you actually create your first track using GarageBand. Start up the app, and as we said in the previous video, it opens on the horizontal view. So it's pretty simple. Create a song. We're going to start with the keyboard part, so let's click on keyboards. We covered all these various different bits before, so what I'll do is I'll just show you a few quick tips to actually get the best out of recording something in just to start with, because you can obviously just play the default, but you probably don't want to use that sound, and you probably don't want to use that just the full keyboard all laid out for you. You may want to take advantage of some of the handy scaling tips and tricks that the app has. So first of all, let's find a better sound. So click on the little lines there. The default it comes up with every time is this epic cloud formation sound. It's kind of a fizzy pad sort of thing. So to change the sound, you press on that in the blue, and then it brings up a whole load of categories. At the moment it's in pads, and epic cloud formation is there. All your other pad sounds are here. You can select any one you like, or you can change it to something else. For now I will create a synth sound, because that's going to be probably a little bit cleaner, and I'm just going to pick one at random. What about deep plucked synth? Let's see how that sounds. Not the nicest sound in the world, but it'll work for today. So how do I get my keyboard arrangement back on the full screen? Just press those lines again, and there's the full keyboard back. Now remember that we looked at time signature and tempo before, and key signature. Let's change this to 121, so it goes a bit faster as a track. And key signature, let's do something whizzy like A flat minor. Here we go. Now nothing happens to the keyboard, but if you press this button here with two little quaver notes on it, crotchets, that allows you to select which scale the keyboard will change to, so that you can only play notes from that scale. So if we're in a minor key, we can start with a minor scale. Or we can really go crazy and do a, let's do, you've got all these different ones, a Mixolydian, here we go. Or we can do klezmer, which gives a kind of Mediterranean-y sort of oriental sound to it. Southeast Asian. Dorian. These are all different modes in the scale. I won't bother with all the music theory behind them, but basically it's just a different voicings of the scale, and just adding and removing different particular notes in the scale to create a different tone. So let's just go with minor, and as you can see, you've got your G sharp root notes are highlighted, and then all the notes in between are all grey, but you can't play any wrong notes. They're all the notes in the scale. So let's just try and record anything in and see how we get to. There we go. So that was just a little nothing idea that just popped into my head. Let's see how we go from here. So let's go back to our track arrangement, and what you can see now is the notes we've just played. I don't know if that's coming out on the screen or not, but you can see them as little tiny white dots in this track here. So it says deep plucked synth there, which is the name of the sound we just chose. If we pull across, you can change the volume and everything here, as we discussed already. But if we just basically slide across there, those are the notes. If we want to have another look at those notes, a little bit more detail to edit them, you can double tap on that, and it gives you these options: cut, copy, paste, delete, loop, split, edit, rename, and settings. There's lots that you can do with all of these different things. They're all quite self-explanatory, but the most obvious thing I will want to do with this is quantize the notes to make them fit into time properly. So if I go edit, here are all the notes. Gosh, I'm going to have to remind myself how to do this actually. In fact, that's not quite right. I don't want to be doing it from here. This is where it all gets very confusing. Quantise comes in settings. There we are. So quantization. I press settings. Here's the option is quantization. 1/16th note is probably going to be okay. So select that and then press done. Now you can't see it because the resolution is not good enough, but a few of the little dots just moved positions slightly to bring them up to line on the in terms of the bar lines and the timing. So now if I open it up and go edit, and by the way, a handy trick, if you can't get it to actually bring up that window, which it sometimes doesn't work, if you just press out of it somewhere to make it go from light green to dark green, and then double tap, then it'll bring up the thing. So edit, this is all the notes all together, and now you can see that they're all nicely lined up against all the different bar lines. So you can use two fingers to close it so that you can see from bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Those are all the notes we just played. So let's have a quick listen with the metronome playing as well so that we can hear our timing, which has now been corrected, and see what we got. Okay, so there's a duff bit of timing in there, which is good because I can use that to demonstrate how you can actually move individual notes around as well. I think it was this one here, so I think it was that one. Let's just listen back. What you can do is you can move the cursor just by tapping in this bar number line up here. That just by pressing it will bring the cursor, your playhead it's called, to any particular point in the track. So now we listen back and we'll listen out for this note here and see if it's in the wrong place. It might be this one, but let's listen. Yes, it's the one I thought it was, which is there. So what we can do now is we can zoom in and see exactly where it's wrong. And what we'll do then is we can just move the note so it's falling on the right spot in time. Zoomed out a little bit too much. Let's just go back in again. So, oops. In order to move the note, you can do it two ways. You can either hold your finger on it and drag it, but as you can see there, it doesn't always work brilliantly. That's best used for extending the note rather than actually dragging it. So what you can do instead is just tap it, click cut, and then line it up to where you actually want it to go, and then just click paste. It's probably not in the right place, but let's see. Let's try again. I'm getting a bit confused because I'm zoomed in a bit too closely. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's use my own advice and not do the dragging thing. And this little arrow that's pointing back to the left here, that's your undo. So if you look at the changes I just made there, and I press undo, it takes this back to the state it was in beforehand. So clicking out and then clicking on there again, let's just cut that and put it back using the playhead to make sure that's in the right place. Now let's try again. Perfect. Okay, so I can press done, and that is my first lead part on this particular track. We'll put a bass line in and some few other parts in just a moment.